Alex, you were those people yesterday?
I got there like 11. Okay. I reached her last. Okay.
No. She's not upset. She's just excited.
I don't have one. Wait, can I have them? Go ahead.
Black shop.
Make sure we keep this little walking. When the earth we need is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When the air we breathe is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
Good morning, everybody. My name is Aru.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Aru.
I work at the American Indian Community House and Rainforest Action Network.
Trabajo con American Indian Community House y Rainforest Action Network
All over the so-called United States.
por todos los Estados Unidos.
It's so great to be here this morning in prayer with all of you.
Es un placer estar con ustedes esta mañana.
And before we're going to hear from a lot of great speakers, and before we start, I do want to acknowledge the land and the original people of this territory, the Lenape. I want to acknowledge that everywhere we walk, we're on stolen land. Sorry. Yeah. Like I said, it's so great to be here this morning with everybody. Seeing this people power, this show of people power.
Creo en el poder de la gente.
I've seen what people power can do on the front lines all over the country.
He visto que lo que puede hacer el poder de la gente por toda la nación.
From people stopping the destruction of the earth.
He visto a la gente luchar para parar el desastre de la tierra.
I've seen folks in Arizona stop buses carrying their fathers and mothers, stopping deportations from happening another day.
He visto a la gente en Arizona parar autobuses, cargando a sus padres y madres, parando las deportaciones que ocurren otros días.
I've seen workers in the Bronx go on strike demanding and then winning fair treatment and back pay.
He visto a trabajadores en el Bronx ir a huelgas y luego ganando trato justo y pago que se les debe.
So I believe in people power. Basically what I'm saying.
Yo creo en la fuerza del pueblo.
That we can challenge corporate greed and win.
Yo creo en que podemos luchar contra las corporaciones y ganar.
Last September, we started targeting JP Morgan Chase and CEO Jamie Dimon, who are in this building right now.
El septiembre pasado empezamos a dirigirnos a JP Morgan y el CEO Jamie Dimon por su involucramiento en minando arenas alquitrinadas.
For their involvement in tar sands mining. That's what he said. Yeah, boo! Tar sands mining is the dirtiest oil. From extraction to burning, it's the most polluting fossil fuel.
Minando por arenas alquitrinadas resulta en las tierras más contaminadas. Desde la extracción hasta quemándolas, es uno de los combustibles más contaminantes y que contribuyen a la contaminación ambiental.
This causes climate chaos and destroys our communities.
Esto causa el caos climático que destruye nuestras comunidades.
From contaminating our water with poison oil to natural disasters like hurricanes.
Contamina nuestra agua con el aceite y creando más desastres ambientales como huracanes, como vimos en Puerto Rico y República Dominicana.
JP Morgan Chase and the investors that invest in JP Morgan Chase and the CEO Jamie Dimon profit off of destroying our communities and profit off of killing us.
JP Morgan y Chase hacen ganancias con las destrucciones a nuestras comunidades y ganancias con nuestras muertes.
What world will we give our children?
¿Qué mundo le daremos a nuestros hijos y hijas?
And that's why we stand, and that's why I'm very grateful that everyone is here.
Y por eso estamos aquí hoy, enfrente de este edificio de JP Morgan y Chase, para enfrentar este problema y estar unidos en esto.
So I want to start with a chant that Bobby Jean from the Standing Rock tribe started chanting about a little over a year ago. Actually, more than a year ago. So just repeat after me. I'll do it in English and then Spanish. We stand.
We stand
For the water.
For the water.
For the earth.
For the earth.
For the children.
For the children.
We stand.
We stand.
For the mothers.
For the mothers.
For the children.
For the children.
For the water.
For the water.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming out. My name is Shadi, and I work with the American Indian Community House. And I'm here because I don't think big banks should be supporting of the funding of the pipelines. JP Morgan Chase is the biggest United States funder of tar sands oil extraction, meaning they prioritize the safety and the construction of mass erections that carry crude oil. This oil is the dirtiest that's being extracted. And it's definitely not staying in the United States. It's being shipped to the coast for profit. So one can't even make the argument that the purpose of polluting our earth is for Americans' benefit to have oil. JP Morgan Chase profits from climate chaos every day. And what's climate chaos? Do you remember when it was 70 degrees last week in February? Do you remember how Puerto Rico had a hurricane that wiped out power sources and devastated its communities? That's climate chaos. Big banks have a choice to invest their money and resources, and it should be for our earth and for our children. Speaking of children, we have to be concerned about the next 7 generations on this earth. I stand here today, and I will always stand here today with our indigenous communities. JP Morgan Chase funded Dakota Access Pipeline, or DAPL, which is located at Standing Rock, which I attended with my family, Rick, Aru, Sparrowhawk. Their funding of this pipeline secured a military presence, private security, and thus violence against peaceful, disarmed water protectors. We face state and government violence for simply demanding that the pipeline wouldn't be constructed over treaty land, sacred grounds, and that we have access to basic clean drinking water. Meanwhile, as unarmed water protectors, the military was in full riot gear armed with automatic weapons. I'm exhausted that in my lifetime I've had to come to multiple protests, multiple actions, wake up really early to fight for indigenous preservation and indigenous existence. And for once for the United States to keep their word with a treaty. I'm beyond excited and filled with joy to see our youth taking the street to demand divestment in companies' relationships with the NRA after the recent school shooting in Florida. You've seen the power and influence we can have over businesses and their image if we make our priorities clear. But I don't want to happen is for yet another catastrophic natural disaster to wake us up to mobilize and demand we divest from big banks like JP Morgan Chase. So if it wasn't clear, I have one ask and I have one demand. My demand is that JP Morgan Chase defund their money into tar sands oil and focus on the environment. My ask is that folks here who are listening divest their money into JP Morgan Chase and consider a federal credit union. The earth is telling us in a very clear way that we need to change and be more mindful in the place that we live, for the earth and for our children. And if we don't, what will we have left? Thank you. Earth should be sovereign and free. People should be sovereign and free. Land should be
sovereign and free.
Water should be
Sovereign and free.
Earth should be
Sovereign and free.
People should be
Sovereign and free.
Land should be
Sovereign and free.
Water should be
Sovereign and free.
Earth should be
Sovereign and free.
People should be
Sovereign and free.
Thank you.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Vamos a continuar la lucha por este regalo tan bello que Dios nos dio, que es nuestra tierra.
We're going to keep fighting for this beautiful gift that God has given us, which is our Mother Earth.
Por la salud de nuestros niños.
For the health of our children.
Por todo esto que esta gente están creando, por los niños, para defenderlos de cáncer, de deformaciones.
We're going to fight against all these issues that have been brought upon our children, from cancer to different types of
Asthma.
deformities that affect them, to asthma.
Por la salud de nuestros niños, por la salud nuestra, vamos a continuar la lucha contra estos buitres que lo que le interesa es el dinero, no la salud de nuestra gente.
We're going to keep fighting for ours and our children's overall health.
No nos vamos a parar, vamos a seguir continuar la lucha y un pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
We're not going to give up. We're going to keep fighting and putting resistance against these issues that have been placed upon us.
Por nuestros niños, por nuestra madre tierra, por la salud de todos nosotros, vamos a continuar la lucha. ¡Sí se puede!
¡Sí se puede!
¡Sí se puede!
¡Sí se puede!
So we're here because we believe in direct action. Y'all are here because you believe in direct action. And that could mean that could look like a lot of different things. But what it doesn't mean is waiting and sitting idly and waiting for other people to make decisions for you.
I don't know more.
I don't know more, that's right. So we've been working with national organizations like Indigenous Environmental Network, Rainforest Action Network, Honor the Earth, and local organizations like Sane Energy, NYCC, American Indian Community House.
Yes, NYCC.
Working alongside of all different coalitions of people to take action at every level, right? We have been meeting with these banks. We have been at the front lines of these pipelines. We have been following around the CEO, interrupting the speeches where he makes speeches, and we're reminding them that they can't run away from their dirty business. So the next speaker we're going to hear from is going to be Tom from Sane Energy.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's wonderful to be here, standing up for what's right. So, what do Trans Mountain, Line 3, and Keystone have in common? The destruction of our natural environment, the violation of human rights, of civil rights, the violation of sovereignty of the first peoples of this country, of this continent. These structures were built under the premise that these activities represented the flourishing of human freedom in accordance with the principles of religion, the religion of the European people that they regard as being sacred. But what is the reflection of that sacredness? People having dogs set on them, people being locked in cages, people being denied access to their own resources, to their own sacred spaces. How is it sacred? Where is the responsibility in all this freedom? Where is it? We have to make a stand here and today and every day going forward to demand and proclaim that the days of freedom without responsibility, the days of irresponsible freedom, the days of waving banners that proclaim freedom in the midst of irresponsibility, of violations of human rights, of violations of the environment, of violations of the sacred commitments to sovereignty of the ancestors of this land. We have to demand that those are respected. We have to demand that the infrastructure projects which are creating these gross inequities that enforce a political and economic injustice pervasively be stopped once and for all.
1.6% of JP Morgan Chase's total loans go to the oil and gas sector. This is a small amount for a huge, huge corporation and bank, which shows us that with enough pressure on all different fronts, with enough people power at every level, following the CEOs, following these bank executives, rallying, flyering, spreading the word, we can hassle shame and move them towards a better policy, right? Ultimately, I don't believe that these banks can ever really do anything good or produce anything good. But we need to try to push them towards a better outcome. And fighting at every front. So we work hard to hold these banks accountable because they make money off of the destruction of our communities. And we're suffering each day. So JP Morgan Chase needs to stop investments that commit all of us to decades more of dependence on the destructive fossil fuel economy. Decolonize your left! Decolonize your right! If you're down for liberation, then you're right on time! Decolonize your left! Decolonize your right! If you're down for liberation, then you're right on time! Decolonize your land! Decolonize your mind! If you're down for liberation, then you're right on time!
Auka, Mimayuta Menue, Victorboya Kumiyai. Greetings and welcome to everyone in my Kumiyai language and the Kumiyai Nation, which is now what we know as California and Baja California. And all of us as indigenous people, we know about all these extractive industries. We know about these corporate investments. We've been dealing with this for a long time. My nation has, going way back to the 16th century, what are they looking for in California? Gold, right? They kept looking. They kept moving in. They kept invading. Corporations, settlers, right? Trying to pull gold in any way they could in the same poisoning, contaminating way they're trying to get oil out of the ground, right? So we know this story. We know this story well, right? Why are we here? This JP Morgan Chase, although my niece talks about what a small percentage, the amount they invest over the last 3 years, over $9 billion. That gives you an idea how much money these people have. It's such a small percentage of their investment, but it still comes to over $9 billion. That's an enormous amount of wealth, right? So for us, we say, pull that out. You want to do some extraction? Extract your investments, right? That's what we want. So that's what we need. And we already have talked about how dirty, how incredibly filthy tar sands industry is, the filthiest, right? CO2 polluting at the highest, the greatest extreme. Aquifer and land polluting at the highest level. It's horrible stuff. Let me paint you an image, okay? Imagine they finished a big race like the Indy 500, right? And they took all those cars and brought them to your favorite playground and took a water power machine, the way they do with tar sands, and they cleaned all those filthy, gritty engines out onto that playground, all over the playground where our children play. And then a guy comes out, or a woman comes out, probably a guy comes out with a little hose and tries to spray it down and clean it for about 20 minutes, right? Says, okay, it's all clean. Kids can play here again. That's how entirely insufficient the cleaning they talk about is after they do this polluting process called tar sands. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because these lands, after they've done this process of bringing out the oil through this gritty sludge, you know, to bring the oil out of tar sands, all that residue and contamination and filth is left in the water, in the land, in the aquifers, right? In the food sources of all of our people. And we may be, as indigenous people, at the apex of what's going on, but if you see a map of these pipelines, they go everywhere. It's an incredible web of pipelines all over the land, starting oftentimes in our land as indigenous people, right? It always starts with us because they consider us the most vulnerable, right? But then from there, it fans out all over and affects everybody, right? So it's all of our struggle, it's all of our battle to stop these extractive industries, to stop tar sands, to stop these pipelines. So we know by getting the biggest investor to take their money out, which would be actually very small for them, but enormous in terms of a statement and enormous in terms of the amount of money. I mean, I imagine if the American Indian Community House even had a tiny, tiny fraction of that money to help our people, it would be an incredible impact, right? But instead, they invested in these filthy, contaminating industries. So all we do is we ask, take this money, extract this money out, and do the right thing. Thank you.
Today is the annual investors meeting. So in this building right now, investors are here getting their reports and talking about all the money that they made, right? We're here to let them know that their money cannot back destruction. And not only does it kill us and kill our communities, but fossil fuels is a dying business. It's a bad business. So that's why we're here to tell these specific investors that they need to put pressure on Chase, just like we're putting pressure on Chase, to defund tar sands mining. Stop poisoning our land, to stop killing our children, to stop killing their children. Because like my Uncle Rick said, it's not just one people's struggle. It's not just the specific Native communities who are fighting these pipelines, but it's also our children in the city or in the rural country or anywhere. Our children will inherit this earth, and we want to make sure that we leave it better for the next 7 generations. Our next speaker will be Adan from Uprose, an environmental organization based in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, that is doing a lot of amazing work with local communities.
My name is Adan Palermo. I am here on behalf of Uprose, an environmental justice organization based in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, representing the front line of the climate crisis. We believe in working intergenerationally with youth because they are today and tomorrow's leadership, and they inherit the earth. And I know they will inherit our problems. So we are here to say no more to banks profiting off of climate chaos. No more, because our future generations will inherit this crisis as well. These crises aren't natural.
That's right.
And they aren't accidents. They are byproducts of corporate greed. That is why we are here today, because Chase and JP Morgan must be held accountable for the massive social and environmental impacts of their financial decisions.
That's right.
JP Morgan profits from climate change. In solidarity with Puerto Rico, New Orleans, to Standing Rock and Brooklyn, victims of extraction, we are here to draw a red line and ask that they do the right thing. Stop them from being complicit of human rights. For the love of my global community, my local community, enough is enough. Me voy a dirigir en español ahora. Voy a hacer lo mejor posible para traducir y interpretar lo que dije. Pero yo trabajo con una organización en Bajo Brooklyn llamada Uprose. Y el trabajo que hacemos está dirigida a la justicia ambiental. Entonces, lo que estamos viendo por todo el mundo, en lugares como Puerto Rico y Dominica República, donde pasaron los huracanes, hemos visto que ha visto un incremento de tormentas ambientales que no son normales, ni son naturales, ni son también accidentales. Son tormentas que se basan en un problema grande. Por invertir en cosas como las pipelines y el tipo de aceite que se extrae por el mundo, todos nuestros países están sufriendo, y también nuestras tierras y nuestras aguas. Entonces todos estamos aquí hoy unidos en solidaridad, en la lucha que sabemos que no es solo nuestras como adultos, pero también que será de nuestros hijos si no empezamos a parar enfrente de este problema. Entonces, gracias a todos ustedes por estar aquí, y por estar con nosotros y representar a sus países y a sus lugares donde vienen, porque esa es la cosa importante, es que nosotros sepamos de dónde viene el problema, que ahorita nos dirigimos a JP Morgan y Chase, que también invierten en este problema climático, y estamos aquí juntos, y gracias por estar aquí. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elisa. Estoy aquí esta mañana en solidaridad con mis hermanos indígenas del norte, porque los indígenas del sur también tenemos un mensaje. I'm here this morning in solidarity with my indigenous brothers and sisters of the north, because the indigenous people of the south also have this message to deliver. Estoy aquí esta mañana para exigir a Chase Bank a sacarles su dinero del tar sands y otras formas de racismo y otras formas de degradación de nuestro planeta. I'm here this morning to demand that Chase Bank defunds tar sands and pulls out of all other forms of degradation that is happening to this planet. Estoy aquí a decir a Jamie Dimon que si él no toma acción, todo lo que pasa a nuestro planeta, a nuestra madre, a nuestros hijos, a sus hijos, Jamie, en todo eso, tú vas a tener la culpa. I'm here to tell Jamie Dimon that if he doesn't take action to stop these things, then everything that happens to our planet, our children, our mother, his children, everything, he will have blood on his hands.
That's right. That's right.
Tú y todos los pandilleros cooperativos, ¿qué te va a decir a tus hijos y tus nietos y tus sobrinos? Cuando no hay más agua, cuando no hay ningún recurso, que no han tocado la avaricia corporativa. What are you going to tell your children? What are you going to tell your grandchildren?
That's right.
Your nieces, your nephews? When there's no more water, when there's no more resources that haven't been touched by your corporate greed. Es tu decisión, Jamie. No seas ignorante. It's your decision, Jamie. Do not be ignorant. Estamos diciendo todo lo que necesitas saber para hacer una decisión positiva para nuestras comunidades. We are telling you all of the facts that you need to know in order to make an informed decision, not only for yourself, but for our communities. Y no descuentas la fuerza del pueblo a luchar contra una decisión que solamente va a dañar nuestras comunidades y nuestro planeta. And do not discount the force of the people to fight against any decision that will negatively impact our community and our planet.
We know that these large banks and corporations fund all of our suffering and all of our pain. And it's not that hard to make those connections and make those links across movements and across communities. So even though we are here specifically because of tar sands mining, that doesn't mean that that's all this bank funds. That doesn't mean that this is the only injustice that exists. So we want to make space for all different struggles because an injustice is an injustice to all. That's right. Awesome. So give a warm round of applause and welcome to Lupe from Immokalee Workers.
Hola a todos, buenos días.
Good morning to everybody.
Pues antes que nada, gracias por todas estas acciones que ustedes están haciendo aquí.
More than anything, I want to thank you for all these actions that you guys are doing here.
Es importante no solamente para nuestro planeta, para nuestro futuro, para nuevas generaciones.
It's not only important for our future and for our next generations.
Nosotros somos trabajadores del campo y hemos visto cómo nos afectan los cambios climáticos.
We are farm workers and we see how the climate changes are affecting our earth.
Cada día, cuando estamos en las labores, el calor es más fuerte y la piel de nosotros los trabajadores se deteriora más.
Every day we are on the field, we feel the heat increasing and the way that it affects our skin.
Nuestra comunidad también fue afectada por el huracán que pasó recientemente en Immokalee, Florida. Nuestra comunidad fue afectada por el huracán que pasó en Florida.
Our community was recently affected also by the hurricane that happened recently.
Entonces, estamos en solidaridad con todo lo que está pasando aquí y para que la gente sepa que corporaciones que tienen mucho dinero y poder no pueden dañar la vida de los seres humanos.
And so we're in solidarity with all the things that are happening here, and here to let know the people in charge of all these damages that they can't get away with these kind of damages to our earth and to our people.
Ellos no pueden decidir sobre nuestra vida.
They can't decide over our lives.
Nosotros decidimos por nuestra madre tierra.
We decide for our Mother Earth.
No vamos a permitir que el poder y el dinero destruya la vida de nuestros hijos.
We're not going to allow that the money and power is going to destroy our children.
También como organización vamos a tener una acción aquí en el otro edificio de Nelson Peltz, que también es una corporación que abusa a los trabajadores.
Our organization will also be having an action soon.
Nelson Peltz.
Nelson Peltz.
Es una corporación de Wendy's, quienes explotan mucho a los trabajadores del campo.
Their corporation is a Wendy's corporation that also
A los trabajadores del campo. Explotan.
that exploits their workers.
Estamos aquí para exigir justicia.
We're here to ask for justice.
Del 11 al 15 de marzo vamos a tener un ayuno enfrente de esas oficinas.
From
11 al 15 de marzo.
From March 11th to March 15th, we'll be having an action.
Queremos que ustedes también vengan y apoyen esta lucha.
We're asking you to come and support our action as well.
Es una lucha de nosotros como lucha de ustedes.
It's a fight that is ours as it is a fight that is yours.
Gracias a todos.
Thank you, everybody.
When the people we love are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the earth we need is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the water we drink is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the people we love are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When the earth that we need is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
So yeah. So we're gonna chant for a little bit and then we'll sit down and chill out and like
We always like to end by giving thanks and blessings, because anything we talk about that is difficult and challenging in our world, the one thing we always know is that there's also beauty, and there's also all the wonderful things and relations that make all this possible. And we thank the Creator, and we always look for guidance. We always ask that we have clearer minds and better hearts, and that we come into whatever we're doing with just the most thoughtful intentions, and that we understand that everything we do has an impact. And as we move forward, we ask the Creator, and we ask all of our ancestors, we ask all of our relations to give us the strength, to give us the insight to continue doing what we know we need to do for all those that come after us. Aho.
Thank you everybody for coming out.